Hey guys, and welcome to another video. Today I'm doing this video by request of a few people on YouTube. A few close friends of mine on YouTube have been asking me to show my entire Blu-ray collection from start to finish. So I haven't done one of these videos in about a year, so the collection has grown quite a lot since then, as you can see. So I'm just going to try and get through it as quickly as possible. We'll start off with this pile up at the back. So this is my Tim Burton films on Blu-ray. So we have Frankenweenie, his most recent film, the American version with the slipcover. Dark Shadows, which is one of my favourite movies. Alice in Wonderland. This is working in reverse, by the way, from his most recent films. Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street. Great bloody musical film. The Corpse Bride. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Probably my least favourite Tim Burton film, but you know, it's okay. Big Fish. Pretty good drama film. Planet of the Apes, which is probably his most disliked film, but I enjoyed it. Sleepy Hollow, a good horror film. They made a TV show recently about Sleepy Hollow for some reason. I don't know why, because it was rubbish. But Mars Attacks next. Phew, it's quite hot in here actually. Ed Wood from 1994, good drama biopic film. Nightmare Before Christmas, a special edition, great film for Christmas time and Halloween time. Batman Returns, probably my favourite of the original Batman films. My favourite movie of all time, Edward Scissorhands. Absolutely love this movie. I would like them to bring out some special edition Blu-ray or something, because this is pretty plain. There's no slipcover or not much special features either, but I would like them to bring out a, you know, maybe 25th anniversary one in a few years' time or something like that. Batman, the 20th anniversary edition of Beetlejuice, and the final Tim Burton film, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, his first film from back in 1985. So they're all the Tim Burton films out of the way. So now these ones are in no particular order, they're just random piles, so we'll just start from this side, I guess. So sorry if the view's a bit bad, this is the best I could get it for this video, but we have a Tom Hanks film, Angels and Demons, directed by Ron Howard. Really good film. I actually preferred this to the first film, The Da Vinci Code. Aliens by James Cameron, my second favourite director after Tim Burton. I like this one probably equal to the first Alien film by Ridley Scott. So this is the first Alien film. I don't really like the third or fourth one though. I just thought the first two were the best. Steven Spielberg's Tintin film. This was a pretty good animated film. Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter and a really cool looking slipcover. This movie not much people liked either, but I thought it was pretty good. I mean, some of it was, well, quite a lot of it was over the top, but I thought it was pretty decent. Roland Emmerich's 2012, good animation, good graphics, but you know, kind of cheesy. Looper with Bruce Willis and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I've only seen this once, I think, so I better watch it again, but it was a good movie. Lemony Snicket's Series of Unfortunate Events. This is a pretty good film. Yeah, I enjoyed this one. A bit cheesy, but it's pretty good. Lawless, this is one of my favourite movies of last year. It's got a cool slipcover. This is the UK version with one of my favourite actors, Tom Hardy. He does really good in that film, so I recommend that. Larry Crowne with Tom Hanks. It's okay. Land of the Lost with Will Ferrell. It's one of, I know a lot of people also don't like this one, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty funny. Knowing with Nicolas Cage, the Blu-ray Steelbook. So this is one of my Steelbooks. This is a pretty decent film too, except for the ending. I thought the ending kind of ruined the film, but other than that it was good. Christopher Nolan's Inception with my favourite actor Leonardo DiCaprio in one of his best roles, I think. So Inception, that was a really good film. I Am Legend with Will Smith. Probably my favourite Will Smith movie. A lot of people are going to hate me for this, but I have The Happening on Blu-ray. This is one of those guilty pleasure type movies, though I haven't watched it in a long time. I do like M. Night Shyamalan films. I know his recent films aren't that great, but you know, Mark Wahlberg, he's a hit or miss actor. He's funny, but he's not a very good actor in some films. The Green Mile, this was a really good film with Tom Hanks by Frank Darabont, the director of the Shawshank Redemption. So this was a really good film. Went for over 3 hours long, but still pretty decent. A David Fincher film, The Game with Michael Douglas. Pretty decent film, good storyline. Pretty unique and interesting movie. The Fugitive with Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee Jones. That's a good film. Everyone has to have this if they're a movie collector. The Forrest Gump film with Tom Hanks. It's probably his most well-known film, and it's a really good movie. Another film with Tom Hanks, Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close, one of his more recent films. I didn't love this movie, I thought it was okay. A lot of these films I bought a while ago, so I'm not that much into them now as I was when I got them, but you know, it was an okay movie. Disturbia with Shia LaBeouf. Around this time he was doing the Transformers movies, but this was the only one I thought was fairly decent that he's made, other than Lawless of recent. And the last movie in that pile is The Descendants with George Clooney. I haven't seen this for a long time, but I really enjoyed it. I like the scenery in the film, and you know, not a lot happens, but it's just a interesting movie to watch. George Clooney's a good actor, so yeah, it's pretty good. Now move on to this pile. So we have my favourite superhero movie of all time. First of all, we have The Dark Knight Rises, the third and final film in Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, with Tom Hardy as Bane in his best performance in my opinion. Absolutely love this movie. Try and move these out of the way. The Dark Knight. This was good. I know most people like this one better. I love this movie, but not as much as Dark Knight Rises. I still thought this was pretty good though. The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, another David Fincher film. Good movie. I think it's a bit too long though, and this movie kind of makes me feel depressed after watching it. It's just one of those films, you know. Yeah, and it's kind of sad. Brad Pitt and Kate Blanchett are in that. Coraline, this is one of my favourite claymation animated movies. It's very much similar to a Tim Burton style film, directed by Henry Selick, so he's worked with Tim Burton before, but very good movie. Another Tom Hanks film, as you can tell he's one of my favourite actors also, and that's Castaway from 2000. Really good movie, interesting storyline as well. Charlie in Boots, this is my favourite Australian film, so most of you guys probably won't know this film, but it's a drama comedy film. I reviewed it on the We Live Film channel a few months ago as well, so good movie. Batman Begins from the Dark Knight trilogy. I didn't like this one as much as the sequels, but you know, it was a decent film. Yeah. James Cameron's most recent film, Avatar, on Blu-ray. This is the extended collector's edition with a cool glossy slipcover, as you can see. Yeah, this is a pretty decent movie actually. I really enjoyed Avatar. Another Tom Hanks film, Apollo 13 from 1995. Really good movie, another good space film. The only space film I've seen that kind of compares with this recently is Gravity, that came out this year, and that was a really good film also. Getting back into M. Night Shyamalan, we have Signs from 2002 I think, with Mel Gibson, so this is one of his better films I think. My favourite Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks film, Saving Private Ryan from 1998. This is a great war film. It's a 2-disc special edition. It won 5 Academy Awards, including Best Director. It's just a great movie, really realistic and violent in the war scenes, but Tom Hanks, definitely one of my favourite performances by him. Next we have, I think it's an Australian film, Sanctum, and James Cameron was a producer on this film, but this is a pretty decent film. It's a bit gritty and it makes you never want to ever dive down into a cave, but yeah, pretty interesting movie. Salt with Angelina Jolie, it's okay. Another Tom Hanks film again, Road to Perdition. This is a really great film by Sam Mendes, the director of American Beauty. Yeah, that was a good film. Road to Perdition was good though. Highly recommend that. Public Enemies with Johnny Depp, directed by Michael Mann. Really cool film also with Christian Bale. Ridley Scott's 2012 film Prometheus, kind of like the prequel, if you will, to Alien. Really cool Blu-ray though. I love the slipcover of this film. It looks great. It's shiny and glossy and everything. So yeah, that's a good movie. One of my favourite films of last year as well also. Christopher Nolan's The Prestige with Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale. That was a really good movie. I really enjoyed this. Really complex and interesting storyline also. We have the Pirates of the Caribbean films. I don't have the fourth film, but I didn't think it was that great. So we've got Curse of the Black Pearl. Dead Man's Chest, the second film. This was actually my favourite of the 4 films. I know most people like the first one, but the second was my favourite. And At World's End, which is pretty decent. This is one of my favourite comedy films of all time. I love Will Ferrell films. He's my favourite comedian. And it's The Other Guys from 2010, directed by Adam McKay. Adam McKay is probably also my favourite comedy director. He did Anchorman, Talladega Nights, Step Brothers, and the new Anchorman coming out this month, so I'd like to see that too. So we have some cheesy 90s movies. The Mummy. I enjoyed the first Mummy film. I thought it was pretty decent, but you know, it's The Mummy. The Mummy Returns. They both star Brendan Fraser. He's a pretty funny actor. He's pretty decent. The Mummy Returns was a bit cheesy, but the first one's definitely the best one. We have Misery with Kathy Bates. I only recently watched this again. It's a pretty decent film actually. It's pretty funny. Two piles left. I'll move these more into the center. Oh, it's hot in here. Okay, so first up we have another David Fincher film, and that's Zodiac from 2007. This is probably one of my favourite films by David Fincher. It's a great thriller film. It goes really long though, it's almost 3 hours long. But the first half of the film really got me. I really enjoyed the first half of Zodiac. I'll move these a bit closer to see if I can... Okay, now we have another one of my favourite superhero films, and that is Watchmen on Blu-ray. This is the Steelbook from Germany. I won this in a competition actually. It's directed by Zack Snyder, one of my favourite directors. Speaking of superhero movies, I'll also be uploading a top 20 superhero films video next week, hopefully sometime. So look forward to that as well. Another cheesy, guilty pleasure film, and that is Van Helsing with Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman's a good actor. You know, back in the early 2000s he was not as good, but he's definitely getting better. But this film was, yeah, it was interesting. Twister with Jodie Foster, is it? Helen Hunt. Why do I get Jodie Foster? Oh, they look similar, I guess. And Bill Paxton. So that's a pretty decent 90s film actually. The Twisters look pretty cool. Here we have Titanic with Leonardo DiCaprio. So DiCaprio is my favourite actor at this stage. I love most of his movies. This is probably my favourite film that he's in, directed by James Cameron. Kate Winslet's also in this film. And this is also one of my favourite Blu-rays in the collection. As you can see, it's got a really cool glossy slipcover, and it comes with the 3D Blu-ray also. So this is just a really great film. It goes over 3 hours long, but it's interesting the whole way through, so I really like Titanic. Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy with Gary Oldman. I've only seen this like once. It's really confusing. I'll have to watch it again sometime. Terminator 2 Judgment Day. This still stands today as my favourite action film of all time. It came out back in 1991, but I still think it holds up really well today. This is the Skynet Special Edition. I highly recommend this to any action fan, any James Cameron fan, or just, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger fan. This is definitely his best movie in my opinion. Okay, so next up we have a few digibooks. I don't have many digibooks, but I've got about 4 I think. So we have King Kong by Peter Jackson. This is the extended edition, and this looks like absolutely perfect on Blu-ray. This is one of the best quality Blu-rays I've ever seen. The extended edition of the film is really cool as well. I watched it with my brother a few weeks ago. We both love this movie, and yeah, it goes. I think it's another movie that goes around 3 hours long or even longer, but it was really decent and really fun watch. Next we have Jaws, the classic Steven Spielberg movie. I don't even need to say anything about this because you guys know it's good, and it looks great on Blu-ray also. E.T., another Steven Spielberg classic. I haven't actually got around to watching this yet. I have seen it before, but I haven't seen the Blu-ray version, so I'm looking forward to seeing how good the quality is on this. I picked it up for only $10 at JB's a few months ago, so that was a good buy. My final digibook is the first Terminator film, also by James Cameron. I like the second one a bit better, but I still really love this movie. I still think it's a very close second. Yeah, it's still a great film. It's a bit more cheesy though, made in the early 80s, and one of James Cameron's first films after Piranha 2, which was a complete nightmare. Next is one of my favourite films of 2012, and that was Les Miserables. I recently just watched this the other day again. This film, it makes you want to sing. After you watch this movie, you just feel like singing all day long. But Les Miserables was great. It's my favourite Hugh Jackman film. Everyone does good in this. I know everyone gives Russell Crowe crap, but I thought he did okay. Schindler's List, the 20th anniversary edition in this cool slipcover. This is another Steven Spielberg film. Haven't got around to watching the Blu-ray yet, but it is a good movie, so I'll hopefully watch that soon. That's a pretty decent film. The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey, the American Blu-ray in a slipcover. Really looking forward to seeing the sequel, The Desolation of Smaug, later this month. It looks pretty good. So yeah, the first film was really good, but the second one looks more action-packed. Next we have 9. Produced by Tim Burton. This came out in 2009, and it's a pretty decent animated film. It's not the best, but it's pretty decent, and I think I got it for a good price as well. This is one of my favourite animated movies that came out last year, I think, and that's Wreck-It Ralph. John C. Reilly does the voice. I think it's just a really interesting storyline. It's not really well, it's for kids, but I mean, everyone's going to have a fun time with this because it's not really a predictable storyline. It's got a lot of stuff involved with it, and it's really funny. Next, we have my favourite Liam Neeson movie, and that's Taken. Liam Neeson's another great actor, one of my favourite actors. Taken's a really great movie. It's just what you want to see, an old guy just, go around and slaughter everyone. But yeah, I hear they're going to make a third Taken movie. I think he might be getting too old for it though. But I mean, number 1 was good, number 2 was okay, definitely not as good as the first one, so I don't know how they're going to take a third movie. Next we have another one of my favourites of last year, and that's Life of Pi with this really cool slipcover. I love the slipcover on this, it's really shiny, looks great, it's a 3D Blu-ray. I highly recommend this film. I wasn't really looking forward to seeing it that much, but after seeing it, I really loved it. Everything just looks beautiful in this movie. Peter Jackson's The Lovely Bones from 2009. This movie was good, I enjoyed this movie, but I didn't enjoy the crap where it went into the other world, how she dies and her kind of spirit story, how it's in this other planet type thing. I don't know, that part of the movie just disconnected me from it a bit. I think it was more realistic when they just kept it on Earth and made it a much more better film. Next up, another good film of this year, and that's Gangster Squad. I enjoyed this film. I love movies set in the 1940s and 50s era and gangster movies. Josh Brolin and Ryan Gosling did really good in this film, so I highly recommend that movie. It's a lot of fun. Another great film of last year, and it's a Blu-ray steelbook of Django Unchained by Quentin Tarantino. It's probably my favourite Tarantino movie. Leonardo DiCaprio is in this as well as the villain, Calvin Candy. I think he does really great in this role as well. He does great in pretty much all his roles, but this was definitely a standout film. Another Leonardo DiCaprio film, and that's Shutter Island by Martin Scorsese, came out in 2010. I really enjoyed this one also. I think it was really dark and creepy, but it's its own thing. It's pretty good and interesting. Baz Luhrmann's 2008 film, Australia. Now this wasn't popular for some reason, and I don't know why, because this was a really good movie. It's really long, but it kind of feels like two stories. The movie seems like it should end halfway through, but then it takes off on a different story and goes for the other half of the film. But I really enjoyed that because both halves of the film were really good and decent and quite different from each other as well, so you weren't getting bored by anything. But another good Hugh Jackman film there as well, and Nicole Kidman. This must be my Leonardo DiCaprio collection in this area, because we have Gangs of New York from 2002, another Martin Scorsese movie. I really enjoyed this film first time watching it. The second time I watched it, I still enjoyed it. I'll have to give it another watch. It was a really good film though. Daniel Day-Lewis also did really good in this, as he does in everything. And it was nominated for 10 Academy Awards, but didn't win any of them, so that's kind of strange. Star Trek, the first film. I enjoyed this one a little bit better than the second film, which is, I was looking forward to the second film, but unfortunately wasn't as good. But this one I was given this by a friend, so that's pretty cool. The first Insidious film by James Wan. I recently just saw the second one. I thought it was even better than this one, but this one was still a really good horror film. I really recommend this film. But the second one, man, I thought that was great. Another Christopher Nolan film, one of his earlier ones, and this is Memento with Guy Pearce. Really great storyline, really interesting. It's kind of played in reverse, the film. It's hard to understand the first time. You kind of got to watch it a few times to understand new things that are going on in the film. Another one of my favourite Tom Hardy films, and that's Warrior. I go to the gym, and this film pretty much pumps you up before you go to the gym. This was one of the movies that really just makes you want to hit the gym hard, and seeing Tom Hardy in this all buff and everything, it's like, that's how you want to look. Next up, the last movie in the pile is Equilibrium. This is a good movie, kind of cheap looking. I hear they didn't have a big budget for the film, but had an interesting story, good performances by Christian Bale. But the Blu-ray quality on this is really shocking. I mean, it's pretty much as bad or worse than DVD quality. It wasn't that great. It definitely isn't up to scratch for Blu-ray quality, but it's a decent movie. Okay guys, so I've got one more pile left, so bear with me for a few more minutes. I think this is all my recent Blu-ray buys, so you'll be interested to check some of these out. For crap's sake. Okay, so first up, we have more Leonardo DiCaprio movies. We have J. Edgar from 2011 by Clint Eastwood. This movie had some okay parts in it, but it's one of his mediocre films in my opinion. He was definitely a good actor in this movie, but I just think it was a kind of a boring film. They could have shortened it up a bit. But this is the US version, by the way, with the cool slipcover. So next up we have a 3-movie collection on Blu-ray, 3 DiCaprio films. We have The Aviator, Blood Diamond, and Body of Lies. I pretty much bought this for Blood Diamond, it's one of my favourite films. But The Aviator was really good as well, and I'm looking forward to checking that out again. So they're all good DiCaprio films. The most recent Leonardo DiCaprio film is The Great Gatsby on Blu-ray, and this is the lenticulus cover. I don't know if you can see it that well, but it's a 3D Blu-ray and it has this cool gold casing around it, so that looks pretty cool. This was a decent film too, I didn't mind The Great Gatsby. Okay, so now we have Anchorman. This is the first Anchorman by Adam McKay. Really love this film. It's a classic comedy movie, you have to see it. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the sequel later this month as well, because that's just pretty much every line from that film you can quote. Some more recent films, we have the extended action cut of World War Z. Pretty decent film with Brad Pitt. I thought I'd get a Christmas movie, The Polar Express 3D Blu-ray with Tom Hanks. This is one of my favourite Christmas films. It's just really good to watch around this time of year. The Lone Ranger, a lot of people hated this film as well, but I enjoyed it. Johnny Depp. My favourite film of the year so far, Man of Steel on Blu-ray. The 3D Blu-ray with this cool slipcover. I absolutely love this movie. I think it was one of the best superhero films. It's definitely going to be high in my superhero list that I do next week. Another James Wan horror film, The Conjuring, came out earlier this year, based on a true story. Really creepy film, but really enjoyed this one as well. These next two films I bought yesterday for quite a good price at JB Hi-Fi, and they both star Leonardo DiCaprio as well. This one also stars Johnny Depp, and that's What's Eating Gilbert Grape from 1993, so it's one of their early films. Leonardo DiCaprio's performance in this is so good though. I also have Catch Me If You Can with DiCaprio and Tom Hanks, so two of my favourite actors in the same movie. Directed by Steven Spielberg, so it's a really decent film. It's based on a true story, it's a good comedy drama film. So I got those two yesterday. Warm Bodies, I got this a few months ago. I like this in cinemas. After seeing it again, it's still okay, but it's not a great film. I do like the packaging though, it's the UK version with this cool slip cover, so that looks pretty decent. I'll probably check it out again someday. We now have the extended editions of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, so one of my favourite trilogies by Peter Jackson. So this is the Fellowship of the Ring. They all have cool slip covers as well. This is probably my favourite of the trilogy. Then you have The Two Towers. And then the third and final film, The Return of the King. So I'm looking forward to getting the next two Hobbit films also to complete kind of like the collection. Next are my two Star Wars steelbooks. So we have the prequel trilogy of Star Wars, the newer films. They were okay. Definitely not as good as the originals though in this steelbook. So my favourite is probably The Empire Strikes Back. I really like the look of this steelbook as well with Darth Vader on the front. That's really cool. Next we have another Will Ferrell, Adam McKay film, and that's Talladega Nights, The Ballad of Ricky Bobby from 2006, I think. Really funny film also. Yeah, you should check it out if you're into comedies or Will Ferrell films. David Fincher's The Social Network. I'll have to watch this again. I haven't seen it for a long time, but I remember it being really good. Just a really interesting story about the guy who created Facebook. Next we have the two Sherlock Holmes films, so the first one there with Robert Downey Jr. and the sequel, A Game of Shadows. I enjoyed this one probably a little more. They're both fun films though. Yeah, pretty decent. Coming to the end now, we only have a few more left. We have The Shawshank Redemption with Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman, one of the best movies you'll ever see. It's just such an epic classic prison film by the guy who did The Green Mile, and it was based on a what's his name, Stephen King book. So was The Green Mile also. The Sixth Sense by M. Night Shyamalan. This was probably my favourite film by him, with Bruce Willis. Really eerie, creepy thriller film, but great storyline. And the final Blu-ray I have is another horror film, and it is Sinister with Ethan Hawke. This is the UK edition with the cool slipcover. So that pretty much completes it, guys. This is a good horror film, came out last year I think. So thanks a lot guys for watching my Blu-ray collection video. I hope it didn't bore you too much. Feel free to leave a comment below and check out some of my other videos too. As you can see, I've got my Christmas tree up with the lights going. I just put it up on the weekend, looking forward to Christmas. So there are my Blu-rays guys. At this stage I know it doesn't look like much, I think it's around 120 Blu-rays, but definitely hoping to get more soon around Christmas time and my birthday coming up. So thanks for watching, please subscribe, check out my channel, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.